after I chose this scripture that we're focusing on today, it was quite amazing to me that I began to notice that a lot of my friends are struggling with the same issue. One of my friends, a child psychiatrist, posted on Facebook, "I just passed a broken down garbage truck, and it reminded me of my life. I sorted through what should and shouldn't be, what I need and what I don't need, what I want and what I don't want. I carried it all out to the curb, and the garbage truck came and it took my garbage, and then the truck broke down and failed to take it away." And that post made me laugh. And then when I stopped laughing, I spent a little time in that dark place. The place where you end up after you have been laughing at a truth that is just a bit too powerful to take seriously. So powerful that you have two choices, laugh or cry. And now you're done laughing and you might cry anyway. You know, you can clean up all the problems in your life. You can carry them out to the curb, but sometimes that is as far as you can take them because you can't control everybody else. Sometimes your trash gets dumped by a raccoon in the street and you have to pick it up and start all over again. Another one of my friends is having a pretty rough time. He posted on Facebook that his life was a constant series of problems and disappointments, and he said that life was like standing in the ocean on the beach and having the waves crash around you, and one hits you and takes your breath away and knocks you underwater and swirls you around, and just as you get your feet planted and get back up for another breath, another wave hits you square. And then another friend told me about these. Now, she's not a teacher, so these are not gold stars for good behavior or merit, but they are gold stars. I should tell you about how I know this friend, though. 42 years ago, I was in my grandparents' backyard, and I met another little girl whose parents' yard matched my grandparents' backyard fence. This little girl's name was Kat. And we became best friends immediately, and I was always asking my mother to take me to my grandmother's house so that I could play with Kat. And nothing could keep us apart. Well, one day my grandmother asked me what we had done while we were over at Kat's house, and I told her that I had learned a new game with all of the kids in the neighborhood. And I explained this game and its funny name, which was Truth, Dare, Double Dare, Promise, No Repeat. It was several years before I saw Kat again. Sometimes we would whisper to each other, her on her side of the fence and me on my side of the fence. And even though I was not allowed to go over to her house for reasons that I couldn't quite understand, nothing could separate us. Eventually, the adults seemed to forget about Truth, Dare, Double Dare, Promise, No Repeat. And we had some shenanigans during our teenage years. We moved out west together. We slept on each other's couches. We were there for each other when things fell apart for decades. And we were there for fun times, too. Every few years, we have found some way to visit each other. Last year, I went to her father's funeral with her. This coming November, we plan to take a vacation together. And I say plan because I know that it is possible that despite the chemo and the radiation and the hip replacement and the knee replacement, that she may not be well enough to travel, or worse. And it was hard to make those reservations with her, knowing that that was a reality that could happen. And she said to me, "I am so glad that we are doing this. I have put a gold star on each day that we will be together on my calendar." And then she told me the secret of gold star days. Those gold stars are the only thing that she focuses on the mornings that she has to get up for chemo or radiation or surgery. Those gold star days are the days that she lives for one day at a time as she struggles through deep days and dark nights. Those days are the special days. The days when the garbage truck is not going to break down on the curb. The days that your power's not going to go out. The days that your car's not going to break down. Those are the days when the waves will not knock you over. And in today's reading from the prophet Isaiah, it seems to me that Isaiah also has a gold star attitude. Even in the dark nights, God is with us, and that makes even the darkness holy. Isaiah was written down about 500 years before the birth of Christ, so most of the story of God's people is a backdrop for what Isaiah has to tell God's people. And as you know, as we have journeyed with them, the people of God went through incredible challenges, incredible hardships, and incredible change. They have always lived in times of incredible change, just as we live in a time of incredible change. Sometimes change is all around us so much that we don't even notice the change until it's long past us. This week, I was surprised to discover that there is not a greeting card shop in the mall. There has always been a greeting card shop in the mall. And you know what else isn't in the mall that used to be there? Record stores. There are no record stores in the mall. Not even CD stores. No Radio Shack. And the worst one, no Baskin Robbins. My 1980s are showing. I didn't even realize that those things had changed. Besides the ice cream, I was blissfully unaware of the other things. And now I feel overwhelmed by all this change that passed me by. I didn't even notice it. It's like when you find out that a friend of yours passed away a couple of years ago and you didn't ever figure it out. The mall is just a trivial symbol of all that change that we go through, that we're overwhelmed by and we feel guilty about when we find out that we were tardy in being aware of it. We are all overwhelmed by the change in our life, and we are overwhelmed by the obstacles and the struggles in our lives. And when the waves knock us over, wave after wave, crisis after crisis, diagnosis after diagnosis, loss after loss, conflict after conflict, heartbreak after heartbreak. When the waves knock us over, it is normal, and it is right, and it is good for us to ask, where is God in all of this mess? Where is God in this? Where are the gold star days when we can't even get our feet on the ground? How do we function, let alone return to some sort of semblance of normal? As Carolyn told us last week, sometimes humans hold on to the past too tightly. And we as humans are prone to romanticizing our past. We look back at the good old days when the mall had record shops and a Baskin Robbins and a Radio Shack. And we look back at the good old days when we were healthy and sprightly. It is harder for us to find God in the present than it is for us to find God in our memories of the past. In the present, as we're being dashed by all of these waves, it is hard for us to see over the waves. It is hard for us to see the safety, let alone breathe. And every once in a while, the waves come down just so much that we can get a glimpse maybe of someone coming to rescue us or of something that we can swim towards. Every once in a while, we get a glimpse. People feeding hungry people. People hugging people who need to be hugged, people speaking out for people who have no voice. But it is hard to see among those tall, choppy waves. And that is why, in today's passage, Isaiah tells us to find God in the future. Build a firm and ever-present hope. Put some gold stars on the calendar. Isaiah tells us that God is saying, don't hold on too tightly to the past. I am going to do a new thing. Even now, it is starting to blossom. Don't you see it? I will make a way for you. The future is unknown. That is certainly true. But the future is not something to be afraid of, because God is here now with us, and God has been with us, and we know that God will be with us in the future. And that is some gold star thinking. You can put on your calendar every day, God is going to be with me on this day. And wouldn't that be amazing if every day we marked on our calendar how God was with us, so that we could look to the future and have hope. God is making a way for us even when it seems that there is no way. God speaks to people in exile and says, I will make a way for you. And I am imagining my gold star days. Some of them, I can't assign them to a particular date. So I think I'm just going to put them here on this painting. We won't tell Bob I did that. For North, my gold star days include the day that we start our discernment process about who we are called to be as church and why. Let's see. The day that we sign on the dotted line for our new space. The day that we get together to paint. That's a good one. The day that the water is on and the power is on and the heat is on. The first day that I see you in worship in the new space. The day when I want to fall over because what we have done is far more than what I ever could have imagined. These are all gold star days for me, and I imagine that they are gold star days for you as well. And I know, based on the past, that there will be hard work, and there will be disappointments, and there will be delays and crises and losses and conflict and heartbreak. I know that those will happen for us as community, and I know that those will also happen for us as individuals and families. There will be darkness, but there will also be gold star days. When we have faith that God will be with us, we celebrate and we can remember that God has been with us, is with us, and will be with us. God is doing a new thing. Can we perceive it? God will make a way for us.